Hi everyone, Francis Walsh here with thedigitalmerchant.com, and today we're going to be looking at Geniuslink. So Geniuslink is a service that you can use if you are in the business of affiliate links. It will essentially help you to manage those links more effectively and generate more revenue from them, particularly if you are getting a lot of international traffic and you want to direct your site visitors to the Amazon stores in their local country. It does a pretty good job of doing that and maximizes your revenue that way. So that's the website if you want to visit it, geniuslink.com. So I'm just going to record a quick demo just to go with this video, just to show you how Geniuslink works. It's quite simple. So basically you have your dashboard here. These are the products that I have made shortened custom links with already. So we're just going to go over to Amazon here and then pick out a product to do this with from scratch. So we'll go with these Ray-Ban sunglasses, and then you copy the link, bring it back over here to the dashboard, paste it in here, and then immediately you will see the different localizations that are available to you. So you can see here at the top, you get a perfect match for, we'll say, the Netherlands, Canada, Germany. Scroll down a little bit further, then you get countries where there aren't a perfect match, but as you can see here, there's not a similar product in the local store maybe, but then they will generate links for you to use that might be helpful to your visitors, even if it's not a perfect match. And then down at the bottom, there's none for this one, but there are certain countries then in some cases for which there are no useful links available. The platform will show you that as well. So then we go up, there are more advanced options here. So if you want to do a choice page, that would basically give you the option to have different destinations to send your visitors to, based on your needs and based on the kind of the readers that you're getting and where they want to go, what's most valuable for them. You can do that. You can change the theme of the product image, and then you can also do A/B testing here as well. So you can pick two different URLs, test them against one another. You can also add tracking pixels depending on your needs. Obviously, do be aware of GDPR restrictions there. And I know the platform does have some automatic restrictions in place there just to be compliant with the relevant regulations. So we'll just pick a simple option just for this demonstration. And so, yeah, from there, you kind of have your link, you have where it's going to work. You just click save. And then it will add to the dashboard. And then from there, you can click into all of your active links and you will be able to see the performance. You have your lifetime clicks, lifetime reach, your time performance over whatever kind of time range you are looking for, and all this data here as well. So the kind of refers, the devices that your visitors are using, destinations are coming from, all that kind of thing. As you can see, this is just a demonstration. I haven't actually got any data to show you here, but this is where it will all come from. So as you can see, quite straightforward. And yeah, you can see really quite clearly where the value will come from here. So essentially the service is based really around problems surrounding affiliate links. So this is a revenue stream that's been around for a good number of years, but there are obviously difficulties with it. And the main one that Geniuslink addresses is the fact that many platforms don't handle global traffic well. So say you're publishing in America and you get a site visitor from, we'll say, Japan. If you don't use a service like Geniuslink, what can happen is that Japanese visitor gets redirected to the US site rather than the Japanese site. So this has an impact obviously on their the utility they get from the link, and it also from the revenue that you generate from their visit. So Geniuslink will essentially come in and ensure that visitors from Japan, will say, end up on the Japanese Amazon site, thereby maximizing the revenue that you get from those visits. So there are competitors like Amazon's OneLink, which is developed by Amazon itself. I would typically recommend Geniuslink to a lot of users, and I'll get into this in a little bit more detail later on, but I think Geniuslink has a lot of advantages over OneLink and over other competitors as well, depending on the level of your business and the nature of the site visitors you're getting. So if you want to look at some key features, so as I was kind of discussing just now, the auto redirection of users to local Amazon stores, that's kind of the big one really, in my view, because look, a lot of websites, if you have a big presence, you're probably going to have a presence across a lot of borders, particularly, in different English speaking countries or across Europe, wherever else. If you get a lot of site visitors, you want to make sure you are monetizing these visits to the greatest possible extent. And Geniuslink can help you do that and to maximize the revenue from each click. And it does that quite well. And the tracking does show that it redirects users quite effectively. Another big offering that's quite popular is they're branded short links. So if you want to use short links, you can do this, either from your main domain or from a subdomain that you set up. Geniuslink does allow you on one of the lower paid versions to set these up with a genie.us URL. If you pay, I think it's a $50 per month add-on that will let you, just have your own branding in the URL and not to have the genie.us add-on. So depending on the amount of volume you're doing and how great of a priority that would be for you, that may be worth investing that extra $50 a month. And then it also has retargeting, A/B testing, and link health alerts. The link health alerts is something I'm a big fan of, actually, because often what you get with these types of things is links will go broken without letting you know, and you could have a broken link set up for a number of months and it wouldn't be doing anything for you. And it will only be, when you manually check it that you would discover this. So Geniuslink does provide notifications about that, so you can get to it right away and fix it. Global monetization, as I was saying, probably Geniuslink's biggest, kind of most important offering. Essentially, they will boost your conversion rates, and they do this better than Amazon One Link. From the research that I've done, this appears to be the case. Users seem to have a better experience with Geniuslink. And the other factor here is that it directs traffic to exact products rather than lists of products. And this is important because, direction to exact products, you do tend to get better rates for affiliate links to do that. And Geniuslink does quite a good job of ensuring that those links go in those directions. Then there's the branding boost that comes from the custom domains. This, I suppose, maybe is more difficult to measure quantitatively. It's more of a kind of a qualitative and, experiential thing. But it is quite important. I mean, obviously when a company has its own custom domains, it just looks cleaner, it looks better, more professional, all that kind of thing. And so this obviously will translate to increased engagement, more clicks, and essentially more money, even though it's not maybe that easy to add up in dollars and cents at the outset. It will obviously have a positive effect. Now, it does, as I was saying, cost you an extra $50 a month. So really it's going to be a question of, volume, whether you're doing enough, whether you're getting enough site visits to justify this kind of an investment. And also you're going to have to implement DNS changes as well. So essentially, it's going to be on a case-by-case basis whether this is worth it for you. But if you're doing a lot of business through your affiliate site, $50 a month might not be that significant a sum. Then there are also a suite of advanced tools that you can use if that's something that you feel like is inside your scope. You can have retargeting pixels to links, real-time conversion analytics, which is obviously handy if you're getting high volume and you kind of want to see where things are coming from and trends from day to day and week to week and that kind of thing. And then, as I was saying, alerts for broken links, and also you'll get alerts for out of stock items. So if your links are directing to items that are no longer in stock, obviously, again, this is something that might not make itself obvious to you right away. And it's handy to know about it, rather than letting it sit like that for a number of months. So again, these are quite advanced tools, as I was saying. They may not make sense for you if you're a smaller operator, if you're not doing a lot of revenue through your affiliate program. The more money you're making, the more money you can afford to invest. That's obviously, as I was saying, kind of a case-by-case consideration and up to yourself to figure out whether that makes sense for you financially. So the downsides of it, I suppose, look, it's an investment. It's not, there's no free tier. It starts at $6 a month and it can get much more expensive than that quite quickly, depending on the specific service you're signing up to. It's going to cost you $2.50 per 1,000 clicks after 2,000. And then another big problem here as well is that links can go inactive if your subscription comes to an end. So essentially, if you finish up your subscription on a Friday, you could be dealing with a lot of inactive links by Monday. And this is a particularly big problem with assets that you can't edit easily post-publication. So the likes of ebooks and that kind of thing, it can be quite problematic if you're dealing with a lot of inactive links. So that's just something to bear in mind before you start up and you start, managing assets using this tool. That if you do decide to stop paying for it, that these kinds of problems can arise. And then also there is a slight issue, I would say, with the learning curve, particularly if you're not that tech savvy or you're not that familiar with products in this area. Some of the tools do take a while to master. Now, there are good tutorials there, and the documentation on them is quite clear. And once you are familiar, I do find the user interface quite user-friendly, I suppose. But it's just to be aware that when you do get started, it can all seem a little bit intimidating. So in terms of the competitors, as I was saying, Amazon's Geniuslink, it kind of has the advantage of being developed by Amazon. So, it's developed with the platform in mind, and it does also have a free tier, but it is much more limited, I think, and its results are not as good as those you're going to get with Geniuslink. So it's a lower point of entry. It's, obviously cheaper, and you can do it for free if you like, but I think for more serious operations, Geniuslink is probably a better option. BitSignal then is kind of another leading provider in this space. It looks really nice, but I find the analytics are a little bit too basic. Again, this is going to be a consideration that will come about really on the basis of your scale. Like if you're big enough that you need detailed analytics, then it's worth paying the extra for something like Geniuslink that does a better job of presenting them. And then Thirsty Affiliates is the last one I looked at. To be honest, I don't think this really represents good value for money. It's more expensive than any of the others I've looked at here, and it does have kind of a WordPress focus. So if your website is not WordPress, it probably doesn't justify its expense. So who is Geniuslink really for? Well, I mean, the obvious first one is affiliates with a lot of global traffic. So if you have an active affiliate program, it's doing a good bit of revenue from outside the US, it makes sense that you'd want to maximize the money you're getting for those clicks. So I suppose that's the first thing to look at to see where traffic is coming from. Then content creators on YouTube that have blogs or ebooks or that kind of thing, you can get a lot of benefit there from the branded short links. And then marketers needing deep analytics and tracking. Like I was saying, the analytics of Geniuslink are very comprehensive. They're much better, I feel, than any of the other competitors I mentioned. So if that's something that interests you, I think Geniuslink is probably the way to go. And then who should use Geniuslink? So obviously, conversely, if you don't have a lot of international traffic, if you're only marketing to the US and you're not getting a lot of traffic from overseas, it might not make sense to make the investment. Again, very small publishers, I suppose this probably, by the same logic, it doesn't really make sense if you're a very small outfit. And then anyone worried about link lock-in. So that's essentially what I mentioned in the previous slide, just about that your links can fail if you allow your subscription to lapse. And with certain types of content, this is obviously a big concern. And essentially, I suppose it's just important to be aware that it is rather a big investment. Unless you're doing quite a bit of revenue or you're planning to scale to do quite a bit of revenue, it may not make sense to make the investment. So yeah, I suppose in summation, it's not cheap, but it can be a smart investment. At the end of the day, you need to spend money to make money, and it does definitely provide a return on investment for websites that are doing a lot of volume, and particularly international volume. So you can try it for free. It doesn't actually function, but you get access to the system and you can set everything up, but just the links don't work. So you can kind of see how it works, see the benefit it might add to your business, and then once you've done that, you can kind of go from there and decide to pay for it if you'd like. So yeah, that's pretty much all from me on this one, and I'll see you in the next video.